Commission workshop to order February the 18th at 6:21. Please stand for the invocation by Vice Mayor James and follow that Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, we thank you for allowing us to see another beautiful day. We thank you as the blood continues to run warm in our veins. We ask that you continue to lead us and to guide us into doing the things that we feel is great for our city. We ask you not to let us go astray, to keep us strong and to keep our fellowship going. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call. Here.
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 Thank you, ma'am. First and only thing on the agenda, discussion current and future goals. I think the city came up today on goals here. Mr. Booth?
Yes, sir. You have, we have the staff recommendation, and then we have these goals came from the council, the 2016 goals, objectives, city commission. Right. But the staff recommendations are a little more specific. These things we feel that we can accomplish. We'd like to go with those first, I guess, and then we can. Having glasses, but anyway. Number one, work with the engineers and grant writers to put together a plan to apply for grants, complete the High Springs the wastewater system. Because of the $50 million coming down from the legislature, the engineers and the Swanee River Water Management District believes that this is the time that we can get enough money to finish the system. When I say finish the system, they want to put within quarter acre lots. They really don't believe those lots, acre or so, really kind of blend into our system. But that would certainly give us well over 2,200 homes. It would make our system then viable. And I think we'll go forward. The mayor signed a whole slew of letters. They were actually given to us from Swanee River, but we put our logos on it. The mayor signed them to all the legislatures saying this is a very important thing to do. So he did that today. So we're moving forward with that. Our engineers move forward to apply for. We have multiple grants to do that.
Mr. Mayor, just out of curiosity, in applying to complete the wastewater system, is there any way to apply or try to some of the grinder pumps, which those over 2 gravity fed, or just stuck with it?
We are stuck with them for several reasons. One, you bonded it out, and so they're basically still being paid for. And two, we would have to. I mean, we could look and do a few, but they are under a system of 2-inch pipes where the normal gravity speed is 8 inches. So we would have to totally retrofit the whole system. You can't do that. Best thing is to carry them on as long as we can and then retrofit a little bit at a time. But, and believe it or not, there are other cities that are trying to be sold on those, like Archer. And so I'm very much an opponent of that system. Will advise commissions as I feel need to. A problem. In this coming budget, I believe we need to put in a small economic development budget. That's for both training, travel, and some advertising. And under that, there's probably a lot of subsets such as uh, bandwidth or putting in really an internet system that we don't have.
I was gonna bring that up, and I see you have this for the budget for 2016-17. I think what we need, I think getting broadband access for our businesses here in High Springs is essential. If you're gonna have businesses coming in, they're gonna be looking for broadband, and we don't have broadband here now, and in fact, it is affecting some current businesses where, if we don't find a way to get that done, we may be losing some businesses, and we certainly don't want that. And so, while certainly I think it should be included in 2016-17, I think this year we need to, and I know you're going to talk to somebody about that, but we really need to pursue how we can get a company, and even if we have to go to the legislature, or and I don't know if our grant writer Fox can find a way for a communications grant of some sort, but we desperately need to get broadband brought in here as part of our economic development as a major feature of it, I believe.
As a sideline from that, we went to Cox and we showed them around, and we did that. At a League of Cities meeting, they just said, oh, by the way, they were giving a briefing on all the great things they were doing, and they just said, oh, by the way, we looked at High Springs, and someday they might meet our requirements. Well, I think this is an opportunity to go to other cable companies and say, this is an opportunity for you to come into an area, contact. We'll let you in. But yeah, I was disappointed they hadn't directly, because we had directly went to them and showed them around, and it was sort of a slap in the face. It was in a briefing, so by the way, High Springs we looked at, and they don't meet our requirements. And I've been in other communities our size and that, they would have begged to come in. So, we're just meant for it. We have all these subdivisions, we have all the businesses in a small area. But you're right. But I think under economic development, that's one. In fact, the CRA had gone to a meeting, and I gave her information. We're getting more and more information on specific lots, large areas, 64 acres, 100 acres and stuff. So we need to keep having that information available for people who just might be looking. And we're pushing hard for a hotel. And our building official has contacts in his, because he deals with the state, to look to do that. I think once we just get somebody to take a hard look at it, that'd be more than interesting. The community improvement budget, that's the one where we're selling land. I think we're going to sell a house. And I talked to Mr. Power, who is the tax collector. Yesterday we had a nice long conversation. He is more than complimentary about our business downstairs. In years he has never had a complaint about the tag, and so he's actually, and we'll talk about it at a budget meeting, but he's going to push a little bit extra money towards our way. But we need to clean the town. And so he is willing to work with us also. We will probably have to buy the lot at auction. Mr. Fernie, who's going to keep up with whatever lots go up for sale that's in our town and what they are. And we can buy them very reasonable rate, then clean them up, then sell.
You're not, you're talking about abandoned property lots,
Well, yeah, well,
not the lots that we just,
no,
yeah,
I'm,
not city property, but just ones that are abandoned.
there are,
Yeah.
probably 100 of them abandoned. You know, they're heirs property, there are people who just don't pay,
Mhm.
people who don't even own it and walked away. So that's the kind of property that needs to go up for sale, because the taxes haven't been paid, and they need to be cleaned up, especially on our highway. I mean, there is even one lot that, one of the churches owns, they own like 5 acres, and that house is starting to fall in. But those houses, that's where drug dealers go into, that's where rodents are at. I mean, they are really parasite on the town. So, having looked at Perry here just recently, I was very impressed. They cleaned up their town. They did a great job.
Now they can just
We
do something
need-
about the smell.
Huh?
Now they can just do something about the smell.
Well, it looks good. We want to look good and smell good. That's, I think that's a doable as a goal. We want to put, I know it took us years to get it so we would take the credit cards, but I think we now want to go one step and put it online. That takes a module, and I think that's doable. And then people can go online and pay the bill.
That's a
They
budget.
can use their credit card, we're really going to come into the 20th century.
That's an item we would have to budget for because you said it's a module that we would have to buy.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay, we have, request additional funding for the fire department. That's an ongoing thing. Went to a meeting already, and then, because it didn't go well for the commissioners, it was put off to their budget meeting. We're talking about the county. And so, I have talked to, the county fire chief today, and we're going to set up a meeting so that we can come up with a reasonable amount, more than they're paying. It's become very obvious that, well, for one, we do the most calls within the county ourselves. And the cost that they're paying us is quite a bit less than the other departments based on their budget. So we'll get some funding additional. The building department, the funds are certainly going above what we budgeted, but certainly going above what it's costing us. And that budget has to stay within the building department. It is like garbage.
That's pretty harsh.
It spends money. It spends money, so you can't take money out of the solid waste. And the same thing with the building department. Now, we do provide them, and we have a study that says what we can take out of those departments. But I think we're going to have to provide him some more help here because he is really becoming overwhelmed. I'm talking about more clerical help. Building officials just aren't out there to get. So I think the more clerical help he gets, the more he can not have to do that and then move on and just do it. And it certainly is paid.
So this would be in the upcoming budget.
These are all in the upcoming budget. These are the customer service representative. As I said, Mr. Powers really likes what he did. Well, and he is going to give us some additional funding. I think with that additional funding and some additional funding we're getting because we're doing so many tags. And much of it has to do with we're taking credit cards. That we need to open up a window that just does water bills, starting new service. Because what's happening, I guess, is that people are standing in line for quite a while. It takes a while to get a tag and to do all that. So if we had an expedited window, people that were just taking care of city business could go by, and everybody else could do the tag. It's going up, and it's been noticed even by Mr. Powers from the county. No, he's not from a separate organization, from the tax collector, of how much work we're doing here. Like, they're starting to focus here rather than go there. If there are any questions, that's why I brought the staff. And we are doing the flushing more than we've ever done before. But the fire hydrants now need attention. So somewhere along the line, we need to paint the fire hydrants. It's starting to get pretty ratty. I think there are probably organizations such as the Eagle Scouts who are looking for projects to do. We'll just buy the paint. I think it'll do a lot of sprucing up the town. We clear the lot, paint the fire hydrants, and everything that CRA is doing. You know, I think we'll. And most of our businesses are becoming full, and we are certainly building homes. As those homes are being built, the businesses will come. One project I will have to mention to the, I guess, could be a goal, but is that I have promised the county we would put water across 441 to the fire station. They're paying for it. What we need to do is upgrade that from whatever 2 4-inch line to maybe a 6, so that will accommodate more economic development area, and will be basically, as they say, shovel ready.
And I think we talked about also at the same time putting a sewer line across there too.
We could look at doing that too, but that, you can't do it in the same ditch. It has to be 6 feet, I think, away from the water line. That's usually why you have sewer on one line and one side of the street and water on the other. But we would save a little money by not having to have to pay for the setup for the company to do that. It would be cheaper. But I'll get a price on it.
Does that, and when you put a water line or a sewer line, either one or both, through a highway like that, I assume they have some kind of machine that goes under it.
Oh, they do.
You don't
They
dig
push
it up, right?
under.
Okay.
You've got to be careful because we have natural gas and the optic fiber lines that GRU just put in, and so we got to be very careful about when they push. But they're very good at that, and they push well under those.
Maybe GRU would at the same time like to put that fiber across the street too.
But you could try.
I mean,
Yeah.
It ran it here, and it ran to the library, so.
Yeah.
The one thing I don't see on here, well, a couple things, and obviously there's things that we'll be adding, but I know one of the things that we've talked about, and that is it's not something to be budgeted for, but it is something, I guess, to set up, and that is an infrastructure maintenance fee, or whatever you want to call it, a citywide maintenance fee that we've talked about. And I think our attorneys are supposed to be looking into that.
It is.
All
right. Perry was a good example. They do have a huge grinder pump. In one subdivision, they have grinders. City doesn't own them, and they charge them $7 a month for maintenance fee to go out there and fix it. So we're kind of unique in that we own the grinder pump. In most places, they're owned by the homeowners or the individual. But yes, I mean, we could certainly put on
I mean, something, when we've talked about, it, something has to be done on that.
That's something we've had for a while. I think the thing was always that we were somewhat restricted on what we could do through the grant requirements of the state. And, I mean, I've been talking about this for 3 years and so forth. I do think one of the things we need to do is, there has to be some sort of, I know we talked about before, we said, well, we're gonna add new houses, and as we go, that's gonna do it. My issue on this, and what Commissioner Weller's talking about, is I think that takes care of itself. What we need to put in place, what we need to have in place, and what we need to be able to communicate to the citizens is, it's one thing to get the grant, to hook them up, get that additional monthly revenue coming in. That's one thing. It doesn't address the issue when you have to repair and replace. We need a repair and replace. However, I'll say it again, it cannot be inclusive
Right.
to simply those who are on it, because it is a citywide deal. So I think that's where the legality of how we go about doing it needs to be researched. But you know, I mean, I'm on it. I don't know who else is on it. I would like to know that for the next 20 years, if I'm in my house, it's going to work. And I think that's what citizens look for in government is, it's our responsibility to make sure. And I think if we lose trust, then we've lost anything. So I would like to echo what, once again, what Weller said is pursue all avenues as to what is available for us to do to establish some sort of repair and replace for infrastructure. Maybe you incorporate water lines and sewer and so forth. I don't know, because I think the water lines, and I'll talk about that in a second. I think that's something we also have to do. Did you want to say any more on that?
No, that's fine.
Only thing I would add, and I had written down some things on here. I know we've got this CDBG grant. Have we arrived?
We have, and we have awarded it
Okay.
because the council accepted the top or the lowest 3 bids. We took the second, the first guy fell out. He was just afraid that he underbid too much. We went to the second, we awarded that. He should be starting here within 45 days.
So what I have on one of our goals was to complete these things expeditiously while imposing as little inconvenience to the citizens. And so we just want to make sure that they are notified ahead of time, they know, and so forth, so there's no surprise to where they show up and all of a sudden their road's torn up or something and they don't have it. So I think it's imperative that we do that. Where are we on the playground equipment grant?
We are, we're getting ready to award that to a state bid, and so they will be in very soon.
Okay, because I know we were waiting on the state to reply.
No, we already did that.
Okay, that part's been done.
Everything was done,
Okay,
and we're moving forward. Our third grant should be awarded very soon, so we can only have 3 outstanding, and so we'll have the 3 parks. The park should be started here within the next 30 days. Because it's a state bid, we can move forward. Kiwanis has gracefully agreed to put down the mulch and the barrier.
that's awesome. And the only other thing that I've got on here, just on the deal, and then as I would say, it's aggressively pursue funding for the sewer expansion. And I think also, for future water line replacement. I don't think we should be satisfied with just this one grant because we have most of it. So I think we need to actively pursue similar type grants to replace the water lines in other parts of the city.
Right.
I think that's an area that most cities, and especially small cities, are getting hammered on is infrastructure. So I'd like for us to get ahead of the curve.
Well, one of the unintended consequences of the EPA and their disinfectant thing is, as I really researched it in Flint, is they had the same problem we had, only they have more lead pipes. They put chloramines, which we actually looked to do, but we changed ours. And the chloramine would take care of the disinfection problem, so you don't have to send out letters. But it caused them a lead problem. And I'm really now kind of up in arms about it, is that because the EPA caused one problem that we were trying to solve, really caused the problem with the lead. And they're not taking ownership of it. And so there's a senator from Omaha that is on that EPA committee, and I'm going to let him know that the EPA needs to send out a letter and say, you got lead pipes, please don't put in chloramine. Chloramines are really ammonia, a very light ammonia. But it stays in the system and apparently affects the lead. So we're certainly not going that direction. We're going to go with the hydrogen peroxide. So I got off the subject.
No. One last thing. No, you're right on it. One last thing. Water tower.
Yes.
We have insufficient water pressure at certain places.
Yeah.
And I'm asking you a question. At what point in time do we need to look into getting another one or to do something to keep water pressure? Because when you start
Right.
putting subdivisions outside the core part of the city, to provide sufficient water pressure to those subdivisions and things in the outlying areas obviously requires something. And I don't want us building out in these outer areas and then all of a sudden we find out that, geez, we don't have the water pressure. So I think that's something we need to look at,
Agreed.
you know.
And again, the Swanee River Water Management District spent $2.5 million for a well protection area. Both Alachua and I are looking at that now, saying to Swanee River, spend all this money for protecting a well, maybe we ought to spend a little money putting one in. That would take care of their problems. They're having the same kind of problem on this side of 75. If we did that, then we could isolate the water pressure coming from a different well, and then this tower, then we could isolate it, and then you would have sufficient problem. I mean, there are other ways of doing that. You can tube pumps instead of having a tower. You can pump water.
And
that's what.
yeah, and I asked if there's another thing. I think the thing that we got to be concerned with.
Yeah.
That's one of this is we talk about we're growing, and you've got housing, and you've got this stuff. If we can't supply the proper infrastructure to do it, or this, then the development does no good.
Yeah.
It doesn't do any
That's
good.
right.
So I think we need, within the deal, we need to look really strong. I'll be honest with you, I'm concerned with the capacity issue. I'm concerned with the sewer capacity
Right.
issue that we're going, that all of a sudden we're gonna get there and you're gonna say, we're gonna have to increase it. And it's like, whoa, what are you talking about? I think we need to really, really monitor that greatly. We want people coming in. However, if it gets to a point they're in here and we are not in position to increase the capacity, then we really put ourselves in
Years
jeopardy.
behind.
Right.
That's
So we
correct.
need to monitor what we're allowing to come in as it relates to the capacity issue or whatever other sewer issues is going to be present, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Mid-Tower will have a report to you next month on the capacity. In talking to the sewer people, I think our capacity actually has gone up some because of the way we're
Right.
treating the effluent and taking it to Archer. Not only are we saving money, but because of the way we're operating the plant, we're able to take more in and do that. So it just gives us a little more time, but there will be a time in the next few years if we continue building that we really need to sit down and decide the size of that plant needs to be and how to fund it. We will have some impact fees. I mean, we've got a couple $100,000 in sewer and water, but those are the things that they're meant to do, not maintenance. You know, they were never maintenance problems, and we'll need to come up with some money to replace, if there are any lead lines, then we need to really look at that and replace those. So downtown is very old. And I have to agree that grinder pumps in the downtown area was the only way to do it. And I'll agree with the engineer. That phase one or whatever it was good. It just got out of control. But the pipes there need to be looked at. There aren't any wooden pipes, but there are some very ancient pipes.
Thank you.
Okay, I think these goals you have here, Jim, is pretty much from last year. You pretty much done talking on the, about the economic development, the updated equipment for the fire department. I think that was taken care of also.
Yes, it was.
Okay. I'm looking at infrastructure for public safety department. What was that?
For the public safety, that had to be the vehicles, you know, and at the time, we bought all Waldo's vehicles.
That's not infrastructure, though.
No,
Yeah,
well,
infrastructure.
we're looking also for a new police station. You know,
Oh, okay.
that got put on hold for a little while
Right.
because of some other issues, but I think we are also, and I have Fox looking for additional funding, possibly from the governor's office.
Are we looking in our budget, possibly, if it's available, the money to purchase the property for that?
We could, but, you know, we haven't, not this year, but we'll look at next year.
Well, I'm not, you're talking about 16, 17?
Yeah.
That you'd be looking at. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, not for
Yeah.
this year.
And I think pretty much talked about the delinquent houses around the area. And the recreation, I think you pretty much touched on that. Sewer line.
Yeah,
I think job description, you had put that on there
Yeah,
last year?
well, there's, yes, to have professional job descriptions done, because your
Yeah.
job descriptions can't be, this is what the person does. It has to have how much, what you're expected to lift as far as weight, what you're expected, you know, there's a lot of things that you have to include in your job descriptions, you know, to have them, like legally sufficient, if you will, for as far as any challenges or anything like that. And we haven't done that, and that is not something I don't think we have the capability to do in-house. I think it's something that has to be done by a company or somebody to come in and take a look at our stuff. So that would be something that you know, again, funding-wise, if it's available, to include in the budget for next year. Because I don't see us getting it done this year.
Something about master park plan for James Paul Park.
You bet, and
That's what the CRA, I think, is really supposed to be working, is gonna be working on that.
so we probably need a master plan for all of them. Yeah, and I will push Robert to go ahead and start putting together or getting students in here to help put together. You know, he's got a lot of time to.
And speaking about parks, the one by the cemetery, do anybody use that park on a regular basis? They're using it for what, softball and kick, I know what you call that, kick,
Soccer.
soccer?
Are you talking about the one at the Civic Center? Or are you
No,
talking
no, the
about
one
Behind the-
behind the school, where the Spencer lights been put out there.
They use it for, well, that's where the BMX track is.
Yeah.
They also use it for baseball. Hopefully this year they'll be using it for football.
They
Is the
will,
plan.
they did some last year, and they certainly will this.
Well, no, they didn't actually play, well, they practiced stuff there last year, but they played at the Civic Center, because
Yeah.
they couldn't get everything done.
I know Robert's been working on getting more
Yeah,
stuff
he
done
was-
there.
Okay.
He was trying to get it done. And last I heard, everybody in the football organization was under the impression that this year
Okay.
we wouldn't be able to have football games.
I hate to see that park just.
No, I think it's well used. I see people there all the time.
Well, what I mean by that, you know, more organized events,
Right.
because, you know, especially with, softball, I mean, there's so many leagues around the state of Florida that we can bring to High Springs.
Sure.
I mean, adult leagues, different leagues that they look for venues where they can play ball.
My, since recreation is on, my would like to see, especially if some of that money is gonna be given from the sales tax.
Right.
Figure out what we wanna do to move towards the future.
Right.
Land that park on, the X track is on, at least from my understanding, is actually cemetery land. Is that correct, Jim? Okay.
Yeah, that is correct.
I would like to see either us expand Memorial Park or either get some idea of a master plan for the parks. I'd like to see something kind of on the kind of Palatra. I'd like us to have an indoor gymnasium where people can play basketball, volleyball. We've got girls volleyball and boys, and they either have to play in the First Baptist Church or go to Albuquerque to play because we have no facility here for them. I'd like us to figure out a plan where we don't have a park here, a park here, a park here. Let's figure out where we want to go in the future and build towards that. Maybe use some of that money to help us get along the way on that. That's just my idea.
So basically, what my goals for this year is to make sure we continue to work on economic development, encourage and support social equality for all High Springs citizens. And the second one is they build a community and force a livable neighborhood. Talking about chief, lieutenant, reduce crime by implementing some kind of comprehensive crime prevention, and also to reduce, some kind of strategy to reduce crimes in some of our neighborhoods. So I think that will help make a livable neighborhood. The less crime you have, the better the neighborhood will be. So if we can come up with some kind of ways to prevent it from jump, and everybody come to my church on Sunday morning, I know what I'm talking about, but I have a heart for kids because there's some good kids, but some kids just don't have some things to do. And we as adults need to guide them in the right direction. Because when I was a kid, the older people in my community, they guided young men such as myself. But some seem like now, young people, older people are just stepping away and letting them kids just do what they want to do. But I think we need something in place to educate our kids that they can be better, productive citizens. Let me say back up still. And not all our kids are bad. I know sometimes media kind of put that out there, all kids are bad.
No.
That's not true. Not by a long shot. You got more better kids, good kids, you got bad kids. But those that are going astray, even those that are doing good, need some type of involvement, something to do in our community. And that will help to make our neighborhood better. Not only that, we need to develop housing for all incomes in High Springs.
Agreed.
Well, that's just a must because everybody can't afford $160,000 home.
I know when we've reached, Habitat for Humanity has reached out to us about turning some of those lots over to them. City, what was the lots for the, that were in the Douglas neighborhood that the city, I guess, turned over to Mr. Bowie and them, up to, and I guess those come back to us now, at least by the end of next year anyway, or this year.
But we're looking at doing that quicker.
Yeah.
And as we speak, there's a meeting being set up so
Okay.
we can talk to him. He hasn't paid any taxes on any of that property. And we wanted to come back and do it. But in that line, cleaning up that area with all those dilapidated homes, goes a long way. I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard for people to have pride in their neighborhood when you got all that junk in the lot. So that's definitely on my top of my list.
And it makes a difference when your neighborhood is clean.
Yeah.
Let me ask, and I don't know if there are grants out there. A lot of this, obviously we would have to either take over the property, I guess, or get permission of the people that own the property. Like there are some abandoned trailers on lots and stuff like that. Or even if they are an empty lot, is there like the community type grants where you can hire a firm to go in and at least maybe clean out the lots, at least the ones that don't have buildings on them, because obviously we have to go through a different process if there's buildings on them,
Sure.
Because we don't have enough, we don't really have the manpower
No.
to get, to do that.
That's why we're selling the land,
Mm-hmm.
to buy on sale.
Yeah.
The county, what I learned yesterday, can't give us the land,
Mm-hmm.
but we can buy it at a very cheap price, at auction.
But then once you buy it, then you gotta clean it up, and that's what
Then
I'm
we can
saying,
turn
we gotta
around and
find
sell it.
the manpower or whatever
True.
to clean it up.
But the CRA is actually working on a CRA in the Douglas area. So
Mm-hmm.
if you had a CRA in that area, all the taxes, would then go into, along with the county, would go into that area, and you could certainly use that money to clean up.
Sure.
To do that. You also then have the support of the neighbors,
Yeah.
of that neighborhood. That, you bring them together saying, maybe this ought to be cleaned up Saturday or something. Because, we're not trying to take down the trees and that, just the overgrown
Right.
bushes and vines
Right.
and all the other stuff. It's amazing what a lot looks like when it's cleaned up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. It makes a difference. Next thing, got to provide clean, well-maintained, accessible streets and sidewalk and facilities and parks and recreation. I'm thinking about even some of the city lots over there need to be cleaned up.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Just.
Yep.
Just, and it's sad, even, sometimes when we keep changing streets here,
What used to be?
What's the old
I'm trying what it used to be first, coming around going to Douglas. That's first, used to be first. Even on that corner where turning into Douglas. On the right there, sometimes that thing be growing up so bad,
Yes.
it's ridiculous. And if I'm not mistaken, that corner lot belongs to the city also. It might be one of the lots that we gave to,
Could be.
Mr. Boyd.
Right.
But that corner sometimes be so,
Mhm.
it's just, when you turn in, if you're coming around to Douglas, before you get to Douglas, on the corner of Douglas and First,
Okay, the one on the right side.
on the right hand side.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it be grown up so
Right.
bad sometimes. It don't look good to me. And it's city property. I always, that's been several years ago, we used to be trying to force other people to clean up their lots. And I said, dog, we ain't clean up our own lots here in the city.
Well, that's absolutely correct.
Tell other people to clean up theirs, and the city lots look so bad.
Yeah.
It just,
Well,
I never could.
We really want to sell them and give them 90 days to clean them up, so, that's.
Mm-hmm. And we said this too, and not only just over there in that Douglas
Sure.
area.
Oh, it's
I
all
see
over.
a bunch of them
yeah.
over here,
Well,
and
there
over
sure
in
are.
Ninth and Eighth.
Yep.
Some of them. I said, my goodness.
Yeah.
Yes, there are.
And some houses over there need to just be torn down because
Yeah.
I don't think nobody ever lived in some of those houses over
No.
there. It's
No.
it's ridiculous.
No,
Make the
that's-
city look so bad.
Yeah.
And I'm just a firm believer if it's clean, maintained, when people come through here, it's a nice city.
Yep.
Jason, we had a service there on the Bushnell. A family came from Clearwater to High Springs today. And they were so amazed how pretty High Springs is.
Mhm.
They was, I would love to move here one day.
Yeah.
They loved it High
Mhm.
Springs. They didn't go up in the oven. But they were so impressed
Yeah.
Mhm.
by High Springs. So we're there, but we just need to do some
Further.
more to make it
Right.
even more better. Recreation, I talked about it. We got to start doing stuff for our seniors and our youth. It's just so important to have recreation. It's just important. Again, I say, and what used to work for us, Chief DeCourcy, doesn't work for the kids these days. They can give us a basketball, and I can go out there and walk to Howard Park and stay till the lights go.
Mhm.
Y'all too young to know about this. The lights go to humming. That means it's time to go home.
It's time to go home, man.
Lights go to humming.
Yeah, before the lights come on, they make a little.
Oh,
Humming
yeah.
noise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that means it's time to go home because get ready to turn dark.
That's exactly right.
Yes. But give me a basketball back in those days, and I was good to go. That don't work too much kids these days. My grandson, sometimes want to just, boy, give me that tablet, whatever he
Yeah.
got, because that's all that's
all they
him.
know.
Yeah.
That's him now.
That's all
Lord
they
have mercy.
know.
So we're gonna have to come up to the 21st century. Thought they are. We're in that technology generation. I know the school's trying to get there, trying, but it's just so important. We have to come up with creative ideas to reach out with kids these days. Because they're, people say I'm crazy when I say it, but they are different. And that's just the truth. They are different. So we have to. And the last one is unity. We got to work together in this city. I mean, when I say working together, the city of High Springs, businesses, other organizations, I would love to see us have a meeting with just organizations come together. We have several organizations here in High Springs where we just come together one night, just sit down and talk. I mean, we have 2 organizations in the African American community. We never met with the city of High Springs. Never. I think we met with Amanda on occasions. But other than that, this is our city. And you over here, they over there, I think we need to come together as a city as a whole to make Castle Springs a much, much better place. That we can bring out different organizations together. And I think a lot of organizations would like to help out. Like you mentioned the Eagle Scouts, Boy Scouts. They would love to do some work in High Springs.
I think so too.
But we have to work together. Kiwanis, Lions Club, y'all help me out here, and other clubs. We just Rotary. We just have to come together and work together. You know, just having to be different. Even I'm not here. Even the Chamber of Commerce, we really start working together as a unit. So I always thought part of Chamber of Commerce was part of the city. Is it?
Well,
Chamber, it's not part of the city?
it's not, it's a separate organization.
Okay, but we should be working together.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
You know, because I think Chamber of Commerce should be more about Pioneer Day, the Christmas parade, and the yard sale. I always thought Chamber of Commerce worked with the city to bring economic development into the cities and work with other businesses already in the city. So we just got to start working together. That's what it's going to take to make this a better place. And I know it can be done because I've seen other cities come together, work together to make it cities a better place. So we're on the right track. We just need to work together and get there. And other commissioners.
Yeah, one thought, but you know my big thing is the houses. You know that. I'm always talking about the old beat up houses. That's my pet peeve. But in conjunction with Jason, the idea of developing an area for the kids to come and gather, I think we need an additional space that the kids can go to that don't play sports. Everybody don't play sports. So you need something for those kids to do as well. And I think it can all be part of one complex as long as they can go buy them a hot dog or bag of popcorn or soda or something and sit and talk with each other, whatever they might do. Not just play sports all the time. I think that's great. But if we can do that, that'll help pull our kids off the street. And Byron, you know I'm always with you with the unity end of it. The more we do together, the better we will be. That's for sure.
I don't know. I think the city's moving in the right direction. The staff is doing good. I know some of them overworked, but am I right?
Great.
But I think we're doing a very good job. Got a good chief now. So we're in the right direction. If there's nothing else,
We need an adjourn motion, whatever.
we need to adjourn. I need to see you, man.
Question for you. Obviously, it's certainly